Welcome to the Backroads Bill Podcast. I'm Ben, and first of all, Happy New Year. It is the first episode, officially, first Wednesday of 2026, and we have some really cool shows lined up this year, just in January alone, not to mention the rest of the year. But we are really excited for what 2026 holds us. Thanks for all those who have been part of this journey since we launched back in September 2023. And we are looking forward to our third year of doing this podcast, which has been, we've had some amazing guests. We had some amazing guests and growth last year, and we're looking to keep it going this year. And we're starting off the new year with one of the coolest episodes, because we're talking about one of the neatest schools that you'll ever find. We are going out to Sault Ste. Marie out in, I guess you could say, Western Ontario, to talk to a principal and former student of White Pines. Now, White Pines is such a cool place. It really tries to turn the traditional system of learning on its head a little bit and focus a little bit more on a modern approach to schooling. Focusing a little bit more on the trades, focusing more on things like learning how to be creative and creating content, how to manage social media, these things where more and more jobs and more careers are becoming viable than they were 20 or 30 years ago. Not everybody needs to go to university. And that's kind of an accepted thing, I think, with a lot of the newer generations, is that traditional system of going to high school, to post-secondary, getting a job. It's changing. You don't have to necessarily do that. And this school is very forward-thinking and very on the cutting edge of what you can do at that age to prepare yourself to have a very successful adult life financially and fulfillment-wise and all of those kind of things. And the coolest thing about the school is it has a chocolate factory inside. Yeah, like a legit chocolate factory. It is so neat. So let's get right into it. But first, we do have to thank today's lead sponsor, Source for Sports. It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street and let us help you along your way. So today we are pleased to bring on the show a couple of people down from the Soo. We've talked about Sault Ste. Marie quite a bit on this podcast, our neighbors out in the west. A nice little jaunt. We see them a lot. If you play hockey, you know all about Sault Ste. Marie sports. Cora was just up here, won the NDA hockey tournament that just happened. And speaking of sports, speaking of high school, we are bringing on a couple of people who are tied to the high school there. So first of all, we have Josh Sidwell, who's a construction site supervisor for the Sault Ste. Construction Group and a former alumni of White Pines Collegiate and Vocational School, which is now transitioning to a 7 to 12 school. And we also brought along the principal, Jennifer Barbeau, who is also on. Josh and Jen, welcome into the show.
Good morning.
Thank you.
That was a mouthful, Bill.
Yeah, that was a mouthful, Ben. And of course, Sault Ste. Marie is known as the Lock City. And Ben, I'm taking you back to school today. We're taking all the viewers and listeners back to school. It's one of the most unique schools, I think, could be in the province. It's certainly in Northern Ontario. But I was up in the Lock City in October to the Ontario Public School Board Association. We're having our Northern Conference. I'm the Northern Chair of the boards and the school authorities in the North. And part of our PD was to go on a tour. Little did I know when I stumbled into White Pines Collegiate and Vocational School, what I would find, it's probably like, I compare it to a kind of an industrial mall of sort, but it's for students like Josh, who is alumni, that that don't know what they particularly want to do, or they don't want to go to college or university. That's not in their mindset, and they want to do. They could be very experiential learners, and so with this whole movement with trades and apprentices, this is what this school is all about. And these two people really, really, I think, reflect upon what this school means and where I think, as far as the world of work is concerned, how we can better prepare our students for the future. And again, welcome. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about the school first off, and then we'll get over to Josh, he's the poster, we're going to call him the poster child. He's the exemplary or the exemplar for what we're going to talk about.
Maybe not the
So
perfect example, but
you're a pretty good example. I just want to start with, I met Josh the summer of 2023, coming in for my first construction meeting. And Sam Biasucci, owner operator of Sault Ste. Construction, assured me that he would be my guy and he would be able to fix and help with just about anything in our building. And he has not disappointed us in that regard whatsoever. We're so fortunate to have a partnership with Sault Ste. And especially with Josh. White Pines is a very, very unique building, and I'm so grateful that I get to work in a space with the students and the teachers and our community partners. We have a comprehensive program for all levels, whether you're an advanced placement, college, university bound, life skills, field school, or heading out to the world of work. The technology area that we are in a redesign and renovation phase. There are many phases, but in this phase, we're offering construction, welding, manufacturing, transportation, computer engineering, robotics, green industry. So we have a greenhouse for second semester, a really interesting and cool bistro program, entrepreneurship, and a super awesome opportunity for students with a connection with ADSB's sweetened culinary arts program. So that's a few things. I can talk a little bit more, but you'll probably want me to dig into some things there.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk about the chocolate factory as well. But Josh is now 26 years of age. He's been with Sault Ste. Construction for 9 years, but he was a student there. Tell us about your journey when you got to that school and where you were at in your mind and what you thought about your future at that time.
so I started out. I had always been around, fixing things and building things. Get the bucket of rusty nails, and if you bend them straight, you can use them.
I love it.
And then I went to White Pines, and grade 9 tech, fell in love with it and excelled in it. And the teachers really pushed me to be better. You know, it's one thing to just slap something together, but they were very much of pushing me. We see more in you, and they're very good at that. And honestly, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do until we had some course selection. And there was one teacher that came in and did a presentation on the house building program that ADSD runs, and that is in partnership with Saldan. And they take a group and they go and build a house out on site. And once I seen that, I was like, that's what I want to do. Because there was many stories of people getting jobs out of it after. And grade 11, sure enough, my time came and I went into the house building program. And before I was even finished that semester, I was working late after hours and through the summers. And I had started my career at Saldan.
Well, that, and when you were talking about this when we were there that day, I was hooked right away. I thought, again, this is an exemplary story. This is where the only thing we have in common, I often say to people, is that we've been to school, and our school days are important socially, sports, and perhaps prepares us for a future. I can't speak for Jennifer or Ben, but I certainly didn't know where I was going in high school, and not a clue. And yes, I did end up to be a teacher, so I know how important that whole aspect of the pedagogy, and it was really good that you had teachers that to move you along and kind of guide you to that aha moment, that Orca moment, where you thought, this is what I want to do. And Jen, tell us about that partnership. You have lots of other partnerships, but tell us about that for sure.
So Josh is definitely one of our success stories. He was part of the SHISM, so the Specialist High Skills Major House Building Program, where he and many of our students thrive in those hands-on learning environments. They earn key sector certificates. They're working alongside industry professionals at an active residential build site or an apartment, which I think they worked at last year and this year, which was really cool. Saldan developers, the development offers all of the opportunities to our kids that a regular worker on a site would be able to do. What I've heard from Sam is that supervisors with Josh were really impressed with his work ethic, his technical skills, and his leadership potential. And that's what we're trying to develop in our students as well. We want them after graduation, to be either offered an Ontario apprenticeship or full-time employment. And I think that's something that a lot of our students end up with coming out of the specific Saldan house building program. It is housed at White Pines, but it's available to all ADSB students. So we have a lot of other students that are shared to us from our composite high schools across the city. And, they're gaining certifications, they're that hands-on experience, they're getting a head start on their career development. It's just such an awesome opportunity. So the kids like Josh, who are in our schools, who fall in love with that grade 9 integrated tech class, can then pursue, their love and their desire post-secondary.
Yeah.
Can I jump in for a second?
You can
Because
jump in.
Josh is not the only one who has been part of said program.
Oh,
Many.
You are looking at someone.
a high skills major?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was this was way back in 2011 when I was at Ferris. And
what was your high
it was
school major?
construction.
It was.
Yeah. So you guys won't know this, but Bill,
Yeah.
at the hospital behind there's a shed.
Yeah.
Built that.
Yeah.
We built a bunch of stuff. So it was but anyways, it was just kind of funny because obviously the program's evolved and
That was with Stu Bonus, probably.
yeah. So
Okay.
This was back like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I believe the
anyways.
program's 20 years old, the house building program now.
Jeez.
Yeah, the Ontario Youth Apprentice Program and the high schools major and co-op those are mainstays. But again, I want Josh, I'm going to ask you this question, but this school has become a hub, and Jennifer has explained, within the city of Sault Ste. Marie, students come from near and afar to get into the program. I'm sure it's I don't want to say it's competitive, it's public education, but nonetheless, there's lots of opportunities here. Josh, tell us a little bit about, you're graduating and how you stepped right into Saldan because you were carpenter kind of helper sort of thing starting off, and then now you're a site supervisor, because I must tell the listeners and viewers too, the school is being refurbished, and Josh is in charge of that.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't get out of high school.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So come grade 12, I had been working at Saldan part-time. Then my boss had a talk with me and pushed me towards going to Sault College for a civil engineer technician diploma. I did do that and then work part-time at Saldan still. I didn't particularly like the program, when I was mostly the way through, but I finished it out and went back to the thing that I loved doing, which was building houses. But yeah, I started out just as an apprentice, helping build houses, framing them, doing some concrete work, a little bit of insulating. Then I slowly worked up to crew lead, and I was framing multiple houses all on my own. And then I got the opportunity one day to run my first house, which I didn't expect it to be that house. It was a $5.5 million house. So that was my first supervising project. And then I came to White Pines in 2023.
Now, you're a member of a First Nations as well, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and so where did you grow up in the Sioux?
I did. I did grow up in the Sioux. I wasn't. My family on my First Nations side was disenfranchised a while back. So we had to work. It hasn't been until recent years that we've actually gotten status. We had to prove all of our lineage way back and whatnot, and it's good. That's another thing at White Pines is there's a lot of First Nations in that school, and that culture is very integrated into the entire school. So even just going there, you can experience a whole lot and get to know their culture.
Yeah, no, I saw it and noticed it because, again, for the listeners and viewers, to the east is Garden River First Nation, and to the west is Batchewana, and so. But Jennifer, tell us a little bit about these other programs too, in and around the school. You've mentioned them, but let's dive into some of that.
So one thing that we are so very fortunate with is we have a VEX robotics lead within our school. So he's introducing students to research design building competition, both locally and regionally. He is producing in consultation with Sweetened, which ADSB had acquired as a real business opportunity, where they work with the manufacturing class, the engineering, the design class, our culinary arts, our social media, our marketing. It's a variety of classes that work together to either to design and produce really, chocolate molds, do all of the marketing, promotion, social media, and get that out. So that's something very unique to White Pines and the access that students have here. We also offer co-op related to Sweetened as well as other aspects around our building. One thing I do want to highlight in Sault Ste. Marie, all of our secondary schools offer this program for our 7 and 8s called X Block. And X Block is an opportunity for an intermediate teacher and a secondary teacher to co-teach. And the secondary teacher kind of leads them through industry-specific classes, kind of like an integrated tech, the grade 9 course, but showing them a little bit of everything. So our kids are learning specific skills and tasks in manufacturing and construction. They'll be into the greenhouse this year. Another awesome thing is Josh is going into our classes. He was just in the manufacturing welding class with me this morning because their kids are working on a huge project for an outdoor steel installation. And he's in there talking, they're designing, they're marking things up. He's sharing his knowledge with our kids. So not only are our teachers Red Seal coming from industry, so kids are getting that additional experience, we have people on site like Josh and other tradesmen that are going in and working with our students. Another really cool course I just want to mention is we offer a grade 11 and 12 Women in Trades construction class. So it's just girls in there, which I think is very unique and something that is really important to encourage females to get into the trades. So it's a huge focus in our building to offer something for everybody so that they feel comfortable, are engaged, and can experience those trades as well.
Yeah, such diverse exposure to young minds. Again, I'm blown away by that, Ben.
So what I find kind of interesting is the change of thought in terms of how people perceive education, especially going into secondary education. What I mean by that is, even when I was growing up, like both my parents were teachers, and it was always about you need a degree. Like it doesn't matter if you never use it. It's like you got to get a degree. You can't just go into trades or whatever. I think a lot of I want to say millennials, but what's the one before millennials? Not the baby boomers. No, is that?
Well, anyways, whatever.
Maybe the generation that's a little bit, they kind of had it in there. And then even now the shifting has now changed to like trade, like just going straight into trades is good. And I was thinking of all these different questions. The one that keeps staying in my mind, and this is just me being a little bit ignorant to the educational system, and obviously Bill, you being in the education system, and Jennifer, you as well. I guess the question is, it astounds me that White Pines exists because the fact that it's a public school, it's not privatized, it's very trades heavy. It's kind of the antithesis to how a lot of education was about 20, 30 years ago, I feel. So I guess the one thing that comes in is how did this come to be? How did a place like White Pines come to be?
Well, Ben, that's a good question, and only Jennifer and Josh can answer that question because, the White Pines Collegiate and Vocational School, that's in its title. And back in the day, when you went to high school, you had some of those opportunities because you were exposed to shops. Some people knew right away that they would go into a trade, perhaps. But Jennifer, tell us about the more contemporary evolution back to where maybe we once were, but how in a contemporary sense you have all these programs.
I think the Ministry of Education, first off, has shifted a focus to going back to the trades with the need in industry to fill those positions, whether it's the baby boomers and the Gen X that are all retiring soon. We have to fill those spots. And I know Josh will probably tell you, if you're a construction guy, a manufacturing, you're going to have a job and you're going to make way more than myself, who has, 6 years of post-secondary education under their belt. I also think our board's commitment to improving the learning spaces, especially at White Pines, and having students actually demonstrating their learning through applying the skills and the knowledge that they have versus what we used to do in the past, which was memorize your facts and spit them out. That's all at our fingertips now. Everybody has a device in their hands. They need to be able to problem solve, think things through, come up with ideas, collaborate, communicate, all of those other real essential transferable skills that we kind of lost sight of maybe in the early 2000s, where we were focusing more on give everybody a computer and memorize. Now it's more about like, what can you do with this and apply it to a real world problem and create a solution? More of that like project-based learning ideas. You're collaborating with different classes, just like you would be out in the real world. So if our chocolatier needs a mold, they're going to go and ask the manufacturing class, but then the manufacturing kit's going to go ask the social media kit, because those are all classes they can take now. Okay, well, how are we going to show what we're making and what we're producing and getting it out to market? So it's just a very different way of thinking, which I think is needed now, and going back to that problem solving, learning those skills that are actually relevant moving into the world of work. Josh, you'd say we need people, right?
Oh, 100%. I need people that can problem solve.
We often talk about the rhythm of life in North Bay. For Amanda, that rhythm was fast. Hockey practices, baseball games, juggling a full-time career, and keeping up with 2 energetic boys. But life hit pause after routine surgery led to a call she never expected. Stage 2 breast cancer. No symptoms, no warning. Suddenly, Amanda was facing a double mastectomy, reconstruction, weeks of chemotherapy and radiation treatments, and several additional surgeries. The path ahead was overwhelming. Through every stage, one question stayed with her: how do I keep being mom for my boys? Amanda's care team at the North Bay Regional Health Center made all the difference. They understood how deeply she wanted to hold on to familiar routines, cheering from the stands, being there at bedtime, staying present in the moments that gave her strength. Their compassion kept her connected to the 2 people who kept her fighting. She stayed present, she stayed grounded, she stayed mom. This holiday season, help ensure patients have access to the exceptional care they need during life's most challenging moments. Your gift helps patients like Amanda stay connected to the people they love while strengthening healthcare for families across our region. Visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give.
It's crazy how much things have evolved. Like from the time that, like, even when I was in school, when something like a high schools major was like a big deal, like I remember grade 12, second semester, we were just out on site all day. And that was kind of like a neat thing. One of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit was going back into like the trades. One of the big pieces that people, yes, you work under people, but a lot of times you tend to run a business. You tend to be a business owner for a lot of people. Is that something that's kind of bred into your curriculum a little bit to make sure that they have the skills necessary to be able to be successful as a business owner?
You have led into an awesome thing that we are piloting for September 2026.
You're welcome.
You're so good at this job. So we have a group of teachers in this building that think outside the box, which is what we want. We are piloting something called East Academy, Entrepreneurship, Engineering, Science, and Technology. We know everybody who has a trade is going to have a side hustle, right? So exposing kids to that entrepreneurial mindset is really, really important. It's very similar to like a schism where you have a bundle of courses, but it's a fresh vision on the trades. Teachers will stay in place and kids are going to circulate. So you might be in one class with Mr. Alcock, but you're also going to be working with Mr. Carlucci, Mr. McLean, and you'll be moving around. Maybe Josh can get into this a little bit later, but we're redesigning this huge, 3,700 square foot maker space within the middle of all of our tech classes. So East Academy is like a framework that our teachers have created with board approval, where students are going to learn technological literacy, problem solving, foundational competencies across all of the skilled trades. They're going to design, they're going to learn about emerging tech sectors, and it's that hands-on project-driven learning environment. There'll be different modules that they're going to have to rotate through, from design thinking. I know, crazy, right? Automotive, communication technology, construction, manufacturing, and technological design. They apply that thinking to their project management and then incorporating like safe work practices. Another really cool thing is that we're offering micro credentials. So, in SHISM, you got like different little certificates. We're also trying to just think outside of the box around that. So what can a micro credential look like? Can it be our community partners coming in and doing a workshop? So really focusing on also building your resume, because a lot of those kids are going to be going into the world of work, right? So it's just a super really interesting specific mastery of technical skills package that we're putting together for our grade 9s. And then throughout the years from grade 9 to 12, there'll be different bundles of courses, different micro-credentials, different connections with our community, because eventually we'll have a maker space and we'll have another classroom called building systems. So Josh will probably be able to speak to those a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh, and tell us about those, because it makes me want to go back to school, Ben.
Well, nobody really wants to go back to school, so you're quite rare.
Might be a little too old to go back to school.
Never too old.
Never too old.
Never too old, yeah.
Yeah. So we're currently working on, Jen calls it the maker space. I call it the collaboration space. So what we're doing is essentially creating, with all the shops around this center collaboration space, and there are garage doors in between each. So you can bring things in from each individual classroom and work on them together. So, if the welding's doing a project and, they need the carpentry shop to make, a tabletop for them or whatever, everything can be done together in that room. And that goes to what Jen was talking about. The teachers stay in their classrooms so that you can go in between the classrooms and do what you need to work on, not just stay pigeonholed into one area. Then the building systems room will be a room dedicated to, our construction classes have basically been carpentry focused for the most part. The odd teacher will touch on electrical a little bit, but the building systems room is going to be designed to show off how a building functions, basically, your plumbing, your electrical, your HVAC, a little bit of brickwork, and how everything all functions together, so that nobody knows about HVAC because it's not taught in school. So there's no HVAC technicians, right?
And there's a huge demand for them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I believe a union HVAC tech is, I want to say, $50 an hour. Like, there's huge demand for them. There's constant work, and same thing with plumbers, electricians. They're expensive. It's there's those skills that people aren't taught. They don't know about them, so they don't. When they could have been good at them, but they haven't seen it. That's another thing with this project, is we're putting a lot of glass in, so that anybody walking by can look and be like, "Ooh, what's that? What's that?" and start asking questions to inspire, right?
Yeah, I was, again, I said it earlier, I was blown away by this. I saw those doors, I saw the glass, and I thought to myself, there's no there's no hiding education here. You can be going down the hallway, and this integration approach. I mean, in my pedagogy, I salute the Algoma District School Board and administrators like Jen and all the rest that in this team effort to do that, and so this school again, Ben, is something like this is the future. I walked in and I thought this is what a school should be like, and when I walked out, and that's why I was so excited to invite them to be on the Backroads Bill podcast. But I know you had another question there.
Are we going to see more of these schools across the province? And again, maybe this is me being ignorant. Maybe they already exist, but this is a pretty unique sounding school. When you really get into it. So I guess I don't know if you Jennifer know anything about in the future. Is this something that maybe we'll see more scattered across not just Ontario but Canada?
I'm not sure, but we sure do talk a lot about all the amazing things that are happening at White Pines. And, Algoma District School Board is investing millions of dollars into our new technology center. I think all schools, their goal is to, with the new curriculum coming out, modernize the trades training. And of course, we're always looking somehow to engage and increase student involvement in the trades, which just transfers to improved employability outcomes, right? I think that with the government's trajectory, you will see more of these popping up. I know there's a couple of other Holmes-connected schools in Southern Ontario. There's one other school that I know of in Northern Ontario that's offering a film program, which we're hoping to then be able to collaborate with our trades classes to be able to, doing some reels and some real shorts using the skills that they're learning in their grade 10, 11, 12 film classes, as long with our media arts. Bill, you would have saw those bobbling around. We had stuff up on the screens in the halls, so kids are actually generating all of that content for us at school. I think kids just learn differently now, and we need to actually step up to the plate as educators and a system to support their student success and get them ready for whether it's industry or their future programs that they want to go into.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always thought of myself as a facilitator. I'm there just to open the door. I mean, they're smarter than I am anyway. And so now, Josh, you're teaching. How do you feel now about, you're mentoring students, you're speaking to students? I mean, I know you don't want to become a teacher. You like what you do, but...
Jen has tried.
Well, because there's a shortage of shop teachers. There's all kinds of issues in education. And education is transitioning. I think we're going to see a lot more transitions, and this is a good example. But how do you feel now about giving back? Because you seem like a happy, contented young person, and how do you feel about that by sharing all this sharing you're doing from your original roots of really, I know what I'd like to do, and this is like before you left the building.
Well, it's figuring out over the years. I've finally figured out what I needed to do and whatnot. And, once I finally figured out what I was doing, and then I could share that with other people, I enjoy sharing, and I enjoy the success of other people. Um, if I didn't enjoy it, it's pretty mean of me. I don't know if I even say that, but anyways, um, no, everybody needs a chance, and the best way to learn, I find, is to do it. And you know what? You can't be mad if they don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. So you teach them what you can, the best that you can, and um, that's one thing. So there's a connection between the house building program and then Saldan directly. We have our own program currently with the Skills Development Fund of Ontario. So basically, we are taking those house building students, and not just them, anybody that wants to learn the trade, and we're giving them 20 weeks to just get them all their certifications, get them trained on the basics, and give them a little paycheck while doing it. So whether that be for young kids or for a single parent who they can't do the training but are also need a paycheck, right? So that's where we're trying to integrate that together. So where they come out of one program, go on to the next, and just continue learning. Um, because there's not enough tradespeople. There really isn't.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah, certainly. And it's a bit of a proving ground, I guess. It's kind of like, okay, another phase in really making that transition when we're young to really trying to figure out what we're going to do. Question for you, Jen, about the parents. And this is another thing, educating the parents about this and their reaction to the kinds of programs, because most of the time in the past, our parents, well, they might have tried to nudge you or like Ben said earlier, you got to have a degree or a diploma. Well, that's not necessarily true. We were all pigeonholed, so to speak. But yeah, talk about the parents and how you go about educating them on all this.
So what we have been doing the last couple of years is having evening events, as well as inviting students specifically into the schools to have a grade 8 day, for example, where they get to experience several of the classes in the trades. This year we did welding. I was really nervous putting that kind of stuff into a 12 or 13-year-old's hands, but they did a fantastic job. I think what we are focusing on is making sure that parents understand, because they're coming out of like the 1980s, 1990s education. It's not that. So having those tours, having things in action, inviting them into witness classes and projects that are being built, having the social media, sharing everything that's happening in our school, making sure our websites are up to date. And that's something that I need to tell parents and students, especially the grade 8s that are coming into grade 9. You want to make the best decision for your kid, whether that is they want a specialized program, they want a fresh start, they want a smaller school environment or a larger school environment. They have to do their research. So getting into the buildings and seeing what's happening is one of the best ways to do that. For us at White Pines, our numbers speak volume. My first year here, we had 117 grade 9s. Last year, we had 137, and this year we were over 200. I think the marketing and the promotion that we're putting out about all of the different opportunities that are available, the trades included, but many, many, many different schisms and other courses that are unique to White Pines. I think we're starting to get that traction, and they're seeing, okay, you're a school of 800 and some kids. That's a little smaller than some of the other buildings. Our teachers know the names. They're working with our Indigenous partners. We're really, really strong supporting students on an individual education program or spec ed needs. Our life skills classes also are in our tech classes. It's not just for your academic or college kid, it's for everybody in our building. And I think that's what we're trying to be, is accessible and inclusive and being that equitable spot where kids can come and learn. And parents are seeing that. They're in our buildings, they're coming to events, and they're making those informed choices for what's best for their kid and their family.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, do you have a story for us that maybe it might involve some students contemporary-wise now, or a story back when you were there that made a difference?
Some students that made a difference?
Yeah, well, you've been doing some mentoring right now, and you interact with students, but something more recently where someone's had maybe an aha moment like you had, or something back in the day when, as you said earlier, you knew what you wanted to do when you went out to that house building project. But anything
Talk
like
about
that?
the store, the vision that the kids had and what you were able to create.
There is Jenna's talked about Sweden. I don't think we fully got into what that is just yet. So it is, we call it the chocolate factory. They produce chocolates and sweets for sale and whatnot. And those proceeds go to the breakfast programs, I believe. So there's a co-op with that, but also then we need a place to sell the stuff. So now we just completed a shop at the front of the White Pine so that they can sell that stuff out there instead of just going to the market. Now people just come to school and can pick it up. And yeah, we've done a few things. There's some bit artistic chocolate drips that we had to do. Take somebody's vision and just make it happen. But one of the things that I actually recently, one of the kids that I mentored years back, who is also working with us, has now stepped up into helping out another program. We are in partnership with DSAB, the social services, and they run a similar program with the SCF funding where they take people that are in housing and give them the opportunity to get their basic certifications and training. And they are renovating houses downtown that are abandoned. And then they take those houses, renovate them, and then transfer the mortgage over to a family in need that is in housing. And Aiden, the guy that I'm talking about, has now taken over running one of those sites now. So he's progressed quite a bit, and he, it's great to see that progress where it's like, oh, I remember when you started, like you didn't know anything. To see that progression of, you know, you know nothing to okay, you're a competent worker to holy cow, now you're able to run a site and teach other people. It's pretty incredible to see that cycle, and we want that to keep that happening. We need more people to keep learning and to keep teaching, and yeah, we keep wanting to do that. In fact, there's more to come with White Pines, not just the school itself. We will be doing more outside, possibly another building, to do a prefab housing shop where we can bring the kids out to.
That's an amazing story, and Ben, we know this, and Jennifer does as well. It's all about connecting the dots. You connected a whole pile of dots there, and I was following along, and I thought, wow. And of course, in a community, we talk about our communities. We are raised by community in essence. And Jen, have we missed anything that you wanted to highlight?
I don't think so. I think Josh is very, very humble. I'm just going to add a few points to
Please
his
do.
shop story here. So our grade 11 and 12 entrepreneurship class last year, their project was to design the school store. And they had crude drawings, some pictures that they found, and Josh was able to take their vision. And I wish I had some pictures here to show you now, but he was talking about that chocolate drip. I mean, I was so worried about what that might look like. And the kids were in the store last night and they were like, this is exactly what we wanted. This is our legacy. And Josh was able to bring what was ever in their minds out in that shop. So it's something that is very unique to Josh and Seldan and their partnership with working with students and really trying to get sort of their ideas out and having them working in the spaces that they're building for us. Josh dropped a little bit of a hint about what might come next for White Pines. But I think the other thing that's happening at White Pines is I have lots of crazy ideas. And we're a firm believer in project-based learning and experiential learning. So we're hoping the next big project, I guess after the guys finish a trailer conversion for Josh here, he's dropped that into our shop. We want to create a band shell where we can have music and movies at night, so converting a shipping container. And Seldan's partnered with us and Avery Construction as well in Sault Ste. Marie. So that'll be the next big project between all of our trades, including then our music classes as well, to get that equipment that we'll need out there, and our film program. So Josh is humble, but Josh is a key integral part of White Pines, and we're so very grateful to have him as an alumni. He's never leaving, whether he just continues to renovate the entire school or, I eventually convert him to become a teacher, because he does have that leadership quality. And we're lucky that we have Seldan and Sam Biasucci working with us in the vision of, retransforming and making White Pines the best school in the city.
Well, it is one of the best schools, and I don't want to leave this conversation. This is going to be one of the first shows in 2026, and what a great way to kick off the new year with a success story like this. And really thank you both for being on the Backroads Bill Podcast, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. My pleasure.
So a big thank you to Jennifer and Josh for coming on. I'm not going to lie, I am incredibly jealous of this school. I wish I was back in high school. It is so, I'm telling you, it is such a cool concept. And again, it sounds like a place where it nurtures people who don't necessarily fit into a traditional school system. They don't want to focus on a future that is more academic, that's more about science and, the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers, where it is very important to get that higher education. But you can make a lot of money. You can make a very successful career, a fulfilling career, without having to go to those more traditional places. And it allows you to focus your energy into something that you want to build for your future, while still teaching people and still giving people that level of that knowledge and understanding. It is super cool. If you ever get a chance, check out White Pines on socials. We'll have, kind of like links to where you can find them out in the description. It is a really neat school. And thank you so much again to Jennifer and Josh for coming on. So that is that for our first episode of 2026. New episodes of this podcast drop every single Wednesday. Of course, you can find it on your favorite podcast players on audio. You can find the video on the North Bay Echo YouTube channel, and you can find audio, video, this podcast, other podcasts, everything on northbayecho.ca, where you can also find our newsletter, Echo Essentials, which wraps up everything that's happening in the Echo network, plus some of the going-ons in the North Bay area as well, some of the great highlights and news stories that are going on, sent to your inbox once a week. So thanks again for joining us. We look forward to what we have coming up in the month of January and beyond. So join us again next week for yet another Backroads event.